The sky above the human colony glowed with strange lights, casting long shadows across the small village. People stopped their daily work and looked up, fear and curiosity mixing in their eyes. A strange spacecraft descended slowly, humming with energy, dust swirling around its landing spot. Among the villagers, a tall man named Jaren stepped forward, his heart pounding. He had seen many things in his life, but never an alien visiting their colony. The doors of the spacecraft opened, and a figure stepped out, her movements slow and careful. She was an alien woman, her skin pale blue, eyes large and shimmering, and her hair flowing like silver threads. She looked around, lost and uncertain, her gaze scanning the village with quiet sadness. The villagers whispered among themselves, some stepping back in fear, while others leaned forward to see more clearly. Jaren noticed her hesitation and stepped closer, a warm smile forming on his face. He spoke softly, "Hello, you don't need to be afraid, we will help you." The alien woman froze at first, unsure if she could trust this human. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, I have no children, no family. I am alone." Her words carried a weight of sorrow, and Jaren's heart went out to her. He knelt slightly and said, "You don't have to be alone anymore, we can share what we have." Some villagers looked shocked at his words, while others watched silently, curiosity winning over fear. Jaren extended his hand, a simple gesture, but one filled with hope and promise. The alien woman hesitated, her eyes flickering between fear and something new, something warm. She took a small step forward, then another, until finally she placed her hand in his. A quiet murmur of relief passed through the villagers. The alien woman's lips curved into the faintest smile, a fragile hope beginning to shine in her eyes. Jaren introduced her to the village, explaining that humans could share their lives, their children, their families. The alien woman listened, nodding slowly, absorbing every word, still uncertain but willing to trust. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the village started to welcome her. Children peered from behind walls, curious about this new visitor. Jaren smiled at them, encouraging them to approach gently. The alien woman knelt down, allowing the children to come closer. Their small hands touched hers, and she laughed softly, a sound like wind chimes in the evening. Night fell, and lanterns lit the village, casting a warm glow on the strange new family forming. The alien woman looked at Jaren and the children, a mix of hope and fear in her heart. She whispered, "I have never felt safe like this before." Jaren placed a hand on her shoulder. "You are safe now, and we will make sure you are never alone." The spacecraft remained in the clearing, a reminder of the alien world she had left behind. But tonight, the alien woman felt a connection, something she had never known. As she looked at the human village, the children laughing softly around her, she realized maybe this was the beginning of a new life, a life where she could belong. And somewhere deep inside, a small seed of trust grew, waiting to blossom. The story of their journey together had just begun. The morning sun rose over the village, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The alien woman, whose name was Lyra, sat quietly near the edge of the village, watching children play from a distance. Jaren approached her slowly, careful not to startle her. "Good morning, Lyra," he said softly. "Would you like to meet the children?" Lyra looked at him, her large eyes filled with doubt and curiosity. She shook her head slightly, unsure if she could trust them. I don't know if I can," she whispered, her voice trembling. Jaren nodded, understanding her fear. "Take your time, there is no rush, we want you to feel safe here." The villagers watched quietly, some still wary, but most hopeful. Jaren led Lyra to a small clearing where the children gathered, their eyes wide with wonder. The children whispered excitedly to each other, pointing at her unusual skin and shimmering hair. One little girl stepped forward, holding out a hand with a shy smile. "Hello, my name is Mara," she said softly. Lyra hesitated, then gently reached out, her fingers brushing the girl's. A small laugh escaped her lips, soft and musical, like wind through crystal. Encouraged, other children came closer, asking questions and trying to touch her hands or hair. Lyra responded with small smiles and nods, learning their names and speaking simple words they could understand. Jaren watched silently, proud of her courage, but he knew it was only the beginning. He began to explain more about the village, the people, and their lives. "Here, you can be part of our world," he said. "You don't have to be alone anymore." Lyra listened carefully, absorbing his words, feeling a warmth she had never known. Some villagers approached, curious but cautious, offering food or gifts. Lyra accepted politely, smiling slightly. Each small act of kindness built trust, brick by brick, but shadows of her past lingered in her mind. She had come from a place where she had no family, no protection, only loneliness and fear. Could she truly belong here among humans? As the day passed, Lyra began to open more, sharing small stories of her home world, of forests that glowed at night and oceans that sang with light. The children listened in awe, asking questions and giggling. Jaren smiled, realizing that these small bonds were stronger than words, stronger than fear. By late afternoon, the village began to feel less like a foreign place and more like a possible home. Lyra sat beside a small stream, watching the reflection of the children play. Jaren joined her, quietly handing her a small wooden carving, a gift from the villagers. "This is for you," he said, "to remember that you belong here, with us." Lyra held it carefully, feeling the rough texture of the wood and the warmth of the gesture. A tear formed in her eye, but she did not hide it. She felt something she had never felt before, hope, and maybe even love. She looked at Jaren and whispered, I think I can stay." The sun began to set, casting golden rays over the village. The children gathered around her, holding her hands and smiling. Their laughter filled the air, and Lyra felt a strange, new happiness. It was the beginning of a connection, fragile but real, a bond between human and alien, between past loneliness and a future full of promise. As night fell, Lyra sat beside Jaren, looking at the stars. Her eyes reflected the sparkling sky, and a quiet smile crossed her face. Perhaps, she thought, I can have a family, even if it is not the one I was born into. And in that moment, a small spark of trust and belonging was born, ready to grow into something stronger. The next morning, Lyra awoke to the soft sounds of the village stirring. Birds chirped and children laughed in the distance. She stepped outside, feeling the warm sun on her skin, and took a deep breath. Today, she decided, she would try to be part of this human world, fully and without fear. Jaren greeted her with a gentle smile. "Good morning, Lyra. Are you ready to meet everyone today?" he asked. She nodded, her heart beating fast. The villagers were already gathering near the center, curious but eager to welcome her. As Lyra walked among them, she began to notice small details. The way the children held each other's hands, the warmth in the elders' eyes. The village was full of life and care, something she had never experienced in her home world. Slowly, she approached the children, letting them guide her through small games and simple conversations. One boy, named Rilo, showed her how to play a human game with a ball. Lyra laughed at her mistakes, the sound like music blending with the village air. The children cheered her on, and for the first time, she felt a sense of belonging. Something inside her opened, a connection forming that went beyond words or gestures. Jaren observed silently, proud but careful. He knew trust must grow at its own pace. The villagers also began to see Lyra differently, not just as an alien visitor, but as someone who could be part of their lives. Some offered her small tasks or shared meals, and she accepted gratefully, learning each day a little more about human ways. As the day moved forward, small conflicts arose. Children argued or ran off. Curious and mischievous, Lyra responded with patience, showing understanding and guidance. Jaren watched, realizing that she was slowly taking her place in the village, not just as a guest, but as a figure of care, someone the children could look up to. By afternoon, Lyra found herself near the village pond, where the children loved to play. She knelt beside a little girl who had fallen, brushing the dirt from her clothes and laughing softly. The other children watched, learning from her gentle actions. Slowly, they began to treat her as part of their family, seeking her guidance and enjoying her stories. Jaren approached and handed her a small bundle of food. "You are doing wonderfully, Lyra. The children are beginning to trust you, and so are the others," he said. She smiled, feeling a warmth that went deeper than friendship. Something inside her whispered that this could be a family, not born of blood, but chosen by love and trust. As evening fell, the village gathered around a large fire, sharing stories and laughter. Lyra sat among them, telling tales of her distant world, of floating forests and glowing oceans. The children listened intently, eyes wide, marveling at every word. Jaren sat beside her, quiet but present, watching her become part of the community. Night came, and the firelight reflected in Lyra's eyes. She felt safe, welcomed, and surprisingly happy. For the first time, loneliness did not haunt her. Instead, a sense of belonging settled in, fragile yet strong. The bond between her and the humans was growing, layer by layer, built on trust, kindness, and shared moments. As Lyra looked at Jaren and the children, she thought quietly to herself, "Perhaps this is where I belong. Perhaps this is a family I can call my own," and with that thought, a small, hopeful smile spread across her face, a promise of love, connection, and the life that was just beginning. The bond had formed, and their journey together was only beginning. Days passed peacefully, and Lyra began to feel truly at home. The children laughed and played around her, and villagers greeted her warmly, but far away, in the dark reaches of space, a shadow moved, watching, waiting. Her past was not done with her, and danger approached silently. One evening, as the village gathered for a meal, a distant rumble echoed through the valley. The villagers looked up, unease settling over them. Jaren's eyes narrowed, sensing the threat before anyone else. "Stay calm, everyone," he said, trying to keep the children from panicking. "We must see what approaches." High above, sleek alien ships cut through the sky, their silhouettes sharp and menacing. Lyra froze, her heart pounding. She recognized them immediately, the hunters from her home world, those who had once caused fear and pain in her life. They had tracked her across the stars, determined to take her back. The villagers murmured in fear, but Jaren stepped forward, placing himself between Lyra and the approaching ships. "They will not harm her while I am here," he said firmly, his voice steady but loud enough for all to hear. Lyra's eyes filled with gratitude and worry, unsure if their small village could withstand the threat. The hunters landed, their weapons glowing, scanning the village with hostile intent. Their leader, tall and fearsome, stepped forward, pointing directly at Lyra. "She belongs to us," he said coldly. "Return with us now, or face the consequences." The villagers tensed, fear and anger mixing, unsure how to protect themselves against such power. Jaren raised his hand, trying to negotiate. "She is not yours to take, she is free, and she belongs here, among friends and family." The hunter laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Freedom means nothing to her people, she must come with us." Tension crackled in the air, the possibility of battle looming over everyone. Lyra stood beside Jaren, her hands trembling, yet her voice was clear. "I will not go with you, I am not alone anymore." The hunters hesitated, surprised by her defiance. They had not expected her to fight back, to claim a life she had chosen for herself. Jaren put a reassuring hand on her shoulder, giving her courage. The village rallied behind them, villagers grabbing simple weapons and standing firm. A spark of human determination lit the air, showing the hunters that they would not surrender so easily. Even the children, hidden behind walls, shouted encouragement, their small voices carrying hope and defiance. The hunters paused, realizing the bond between the humans and Lyra was stronger than they anticipated, but they were not easily deterred. The air vibrated with tension, a battle about to erupt, yet the story was far from over. The villagers, humans and alien together, prepared to defend their new family with everything they had. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the village, Lyra looked at Jaren and the children, her heart filled with determination. "I will not be taken," she whispered, her voice steady and strong. A quiet fire burned within her, a promise that she would fight for this family and this home. The enemy was near, danger pressing from all sides, but in that moment, a strange calm settled over Lyra and the village. They were ready to face whatever came next, united, strong, and fearless. The threat had arrived, and the future hung on a knife's edge. The village was tense as the last light of the sun disappeared behind the mountains. The alien hunters hovered near the edge, their weapons still glowing. Jaren stood firm, his hand on Lyra's shoulder, ready to protect her at all costs. Lyra took a deep breath, feeling the courage that had grown inside her over the past days. "We are not afraid," she said quietly, her voice steady. The villagers, inspired by her bravery, began to form a line, simple tools in hand, but determination in their hearts. They would fight for her, for the family that had grown between human and alien. The hunters advanced cautiously, expecting fear, but found none. Jaren stepped forward. "Leave now, or you will face the consequences of harming my people," he warned. The lead hunter sneered, raising his weapon, but paused, noticing the united stance of the humans and Lyra, a strange power coming from their bond. Suddenly, children appeared from the hiding spots, shouting and throwing small stones, their courage giving strength to the adults. Lyra stood beside Jaren, her hands glowing faintly with energy she had not yet fully understood. The hunters hesitated, realizing that this family, human and alien together, was not easily defeated. After a tense moment, the lead hunter lowered his weapon, a flicker of respect in his eyes. "This is not over," he said, and the fleet slowly retreated, disappearing into the night sky. The village let out a collective sigh of relief, and Lyra sank to her knees, exhausted but unharmed. Jaren held her, smiling with pride. "You were amazing, Lyra, you stood strong for all of us." The villagers slowly gathered around, placing hands on her shoulders, offering words of comfort and praise. The children hugged her, laughing and crying at the same time. Lyra felt something she had never known before, complete acceptance. Her heart swelled with love for these humans, the family she had chosen, not born into, but earned. As the night settled over the village, lanterns glowing warmly, Lyra and Jaren walked among the villagers, talking and laughing. She shared more stories from her world, and they shared theirs. The barriers between species had melted away, replaced with understanding, trust, and connection. That night, Lyra lay under the stars, watching the glowing constellations. Jaren sat beside her, sharing silence and peace. "You are home now," he whispered, and she nodded, tears of happiness glistening in her eyes. For the first time in her life, she felt safe, loved, and truly part of a family. The next morning, life returned to normal, children running and playing, villagers tending to crops, and Lyra moving among them with laughter and ease. She had found her place, and the humans had found a friend, a protector, and a teacher. Their bond had turned into something permanent, a new beginning for both species. In the weeks that followed, Lyra began teaching the children simple lessons from her world, blending human and alien knowledge. Her bond with Jaren grew deeper, filled with unspoken trust and shared experiences. The village was no longer just a place of survival, but a community, thriving with love and hope. Lyra looked around, seeing the life she had built, the family she had chosen, and the future she could dream of. A smile spread across her face, stronger than ever before. "This is my home, my family, and my world," she thought, and for the first time, she believed it fully. The journey that began with fear, loneliness, and uncertainty had ended in hope, unity, and love, and so, the story of the alien woman and the human village continued, a tale of courage, trust, and the unbreakable bond between two worlds.